Welcome to another Founder Wisdom podcast. We have Paula Falco with us today. Paula is the founder at Falco UX Consulting. She's a transformation advisor and executive product and user experience, AI certified at Oxford. So we're going to talk about what she's up to, her companies, and everything in between nowadays. So Paula, welcome to the pod. Tell me a bit more about yourself and what you're up to nowadays.
Thank you, Charles. Thank you for the invitation. So, currently, I am the founder of Falco UX Consulting, which I use the 20 years plus experience that I have in design, operations, and strategy to help high leadership and companies' operations in a more, I would say, empathetic way. Because instead of looking into just deployment processes, sales, etc., it's on the quality of processes and trying to mitigate um, what can we do as in a sustainable and human way to improve and secure return of investment, better revenue, and customer experience. I also am the COO of Rahab's Daughters, which is a nonprofit against human trafficking. I am a, a lecturer at Goldsmiths University of London, where I teach service design and strategy. And I do mentorship as well on PD Ladies and ADP List. So there's a lot going on.
Right. Then I see you have a corporate background, also work at Salesforce, Oracle, all these companies. Why decide to launch your own companies and be independent?
um, I would say that I reached a point after 20 something years. Uh, you get to the executive level, and then you start seeing how decisions are made, right? And and I like to joke that when you reach the Olympus, right, where everything is a little disattached from the ground floor and the real operations when it happens, to translate the communication, there's a lot of politics, there's a lot of ego, there's a lot of too many cooks in the kitchen. And being a consultant is easier to make a change than actually be in the boardroom. Because when you're a consultant, you're hired to tell them what's wrong and they will pay attention to you. When you are part of the executive team, because you are playing the game with those executives, it's really hard to actually make an impact and change something in the company. And that's what I saw, that reaching executive level will make things happen, but it was the other way around. So I decided to leave. And to be honest, I don't mind the life balance as well.
How's it been so far, the entrepreneurial life, the adaptation, right? Like from being in a large company to now finding your own clients, serving them, and being directly accountable for the success of your own self and business.
At the beginning, it can be a little hard because when you are in corporate, you have a room full of people that will do your marketing, your sales, everything for you. And now you are your marketing, you are your sales, you are the one that needs to pre-sale, post-sale, and keep the activity going. But after, I would say, 6 months, really banging the head on the wall, I think I have it sorted out.
And what do you do specifically? Who do you target with what UX offer?
So there are different needs for every customer. Normally, what I try to do is reach out to the C-suite level high leadership VPs, C-suites, high-level directors, right, to help them understand why their decisions so far are not reaching to the results that they're looking for, and that they forget that the decisions, well, normally when they're made, it's based on prediction of industry, but never on prediction of the people that are working in the company and also the behavior of the end user for their services or products. They focus on the behavior of people that are signing the contracts, but not the end people that will be receiving it. Um, Also, I feel that sales today, it's very focused on let's just make the sales on licenses, let's just get this contract done. But are we selling something that is proper for that specific client or for that specific industry? And how is that affecting everybody from top down in the company? Are we changing too many processes? Are we changing too many people? Are we removing or adding teams? How are we working properly with that? For the first time in history, we have 5 generations working together. So we have from boomers to almost Gen Alphas coming into the workforce, right? And how to navigate the narrative of that. So first, I focus on the high CISO level and high leadership. Then I do also tend to help mid management when it comes to operations, right? Like how to communicate cross functionally. And then I also do individual advisory, helping them with frameworks that might come. Some of them, they mistake me to a coach, which I'm not. But at the end of the day, we all people, right? And we need to be better ourselves to make things better in the company as well, professionally.
And what size of company, any verticals precisely that you target?
I target SMEs, startups, scale ups, high level corporations that are bigger. For example, if you go to a company like Unilever or Salesforce that are very big, I normally do individual and advisory work. I don't come as a consultant to the company to help them. Startups are good because you have a group that has a good set of technical skills, but they have very little business skills and how to help them navigate that business world. And the scale up is that, okay, we now are good in the market, we settled ourselves, we have a good service or a good product, but we're scaling up. And how do we measure our operations and do it in a more humane, sustainable, and modern way? So I would say that currently most of my customers are on that side, but I do also have a group of C-suits that like to listen to my opinion on how to make things different and how to, like bring the conversation and be more transparent with the rest of the team.
And what do you see? What mistakes do you see most of your clients making initially when they contact you?
I think that first of all, when it comes to high leadership, right, we have a group of people that have been in the company or in the industry for over 30 years. Right, it's really rare when you think about big corporations, right, and they are used to do things in a certain way that are not adaptive or to the current situation of society or even the people that work for them or the people that are buying their uh, uh, products and services. So to change their minds, right, we do have sometimes 5 C-suits on a table, and we have 3 of them managing everything to the same vision, mission, ideas and goals. And then we have 2 of them that are following their own agenda, being siloed, not sharing, having their own political ideals. So one thing that I would say first when it comes to high leadership is how sustainable is this group of leaders that we have, right? How adapted are they with the current situation, the current community under them, right? Technology wise and so on. And I've seen in several videos of your podcast as well, like when we talk about AI, people have that friends like, oh my God, AI. And do you really need it? Are you on the step of it? So I think there's a lot of ignorance when it comes to technology as well, and rushing into just having things and not making the right decisions to do so. So I think that's one. Another big issue that I see is a lack of communication top down and bottom up. Nobody listens to the poor guy on that is moving the pixels or that is adding the numbers on the spreadsheets, right? The conversation always gets filtered up. So the guy says something to their manager that filters a little to the director, that filters a little to the VP, and when it comes to the CEO, everything is fine. So they don't really know what's going on in the company and how to change that. When it comes to startups, I think the big mistake is they just focus on making things really fast with very little quality. So is that movement of deployment, and if we need to change something, we change later. And if they actually invested a little time before just deploying things and making things with a certain quality and assurance that the industry will buy it, right? Desirability, the feasibility, like the Venn diagram all together. They will get better results. And on scale ups is because they know that they need to increase their pool of clients. So they hire a lot of salespeople, but they don't match the ratio with the production behind it. Right. And I think the conversation of the customers as well needs to be set better. So, and I don't think it's anybody's fault when it comes to the miscommunication between generations as well, right? I think it's something that companies should be looking at. Some of them are trying, but it's a very easy exercise to do, but most of them are missing that communication.
And do you think older gens like boomers can adapt to the AI wave that's happening right now?
No, I
So
think
they
they
should just
can.
retire?
I wouldn't say that they all should retire, right? And again, we're just putting everybody into a big pot. So we do have incredible boomers there that are visionaries and so on. But what I would say is that when it comes to the needs, the actual needs of an AI, how productivity actually helps people, and we're talking about Gen AI, right? Like we're not talking about the other types of AI. When it comes to Gen AI, coding, and so on, we're talking about a level of consumer and user that is really far from from where they are. And the majority of things that they know about technology is what they read in magazines, what they hear sometimes in podcasts and on the news. So it's what moves money, but they don't really tackle the problem from the root, right? And maybe just listen to the real users and real, I would say, actors, or the current actors that are moving AI. Maybe things will get better, but it is a behavior thing. We have a lot of Gen X that is coming right after the boomers that are changing a lot in the market. Like they do have that migration between Gen X and millennial that have better views. So I see more and more boomers that are over 70 years old, like just being a part of a chair, just taking a look, being observers of what's going on. I don't see a lot of them making big decisions, but it is something that I think that if you put them as mid management, you will get a real clash on today's generational world.
Yeah, I feel so that way as well. Do you use AI in your UX field, like feeding, I don't know, screenshot to an AI, or feeding data to an AI to analyze what's been happening? How do you use AI currently?
I use AI as a productivity tool for me. It cleans my time of research and analysis and synthesis. So for example, I'm writing a book right now. So I had this drive with thousands of resources, academic papers, PowerPoint presentations, PDFs, books, etc. And then I just dump everything on ChatGPT, or like the one that I use now, and I go, I'm gonna talk about this in the book. Can you find me the sources where I can pinpoint those? And then he goes like, these are the files, these are the pages, this is where it mentions it. So I think it killed 3 months of work of actually doing research of writing. One thing that I use AI a lot, I'm not an English native speaker, so it cleans my language when I'm talking via email or, like creating a narrative. It helps me a lot. And I see a lot of people using it. One thing that worries me about AI is when people start just copy pasting just in a very naive way what AI gives them, right? And not generating their own content. So they forget that AI is just there to help them, but not to substitute them as a thinker.
Right. And where do you see this AI transformation leading us? Do you feel it would slash most jobs in the next couple of years if we're heading into the agentic age?
I don't think people will lose jobs. I think jobs will be adapted just like any industrial revolution that we had, right? when we had Excel coming in and accountants were going crazy. Oh my God, everything's going to go digital. What is my work? When calculators were everywhere, when more digital work, people that were used to do paperwork then had to go digital. Things that were on site and then suddenly they became cloud. Meetings, relationships, behaviors, they all adapted, but people kept their jobs are still happening. People just need a little threshold of like a little period to adapt to it. One thing that worries me about the new generation when it comes to Gen Z and Gen Alpha and artificial intelligence is that it's all about prompting, right? And I see a lot of websites and a lot of people providing prompts for them, like, oh, if you want to do better UX research, you have this prompt. If you want to do better user journey, you have this prompt. So everybody will be just copy pasting those prompts and not creating new ones, and not and it's all about vocabulary. How proficient can you be when you talk to the AI to get exactly what you want, right? So it's about the training on the tool that worries me more, like the adaptation of it. There will be some bumps on the road, but it will happen. I don't think people will lose their jobs. I think their jobs will just be adapted.
But how can you compete against an AI agent that is 10,000 times faster than you in terms of thinking, memorizes everything, and is connected to the full internet?
So if you just rely on the AI to do the job for you, you have no critical thinker behind that AI to see if that first information is correct. Second, if the information is actually the one that you need, right? I think the people, they won't be doing the manual work anymore. AI will be doing the manual work for them, but they need to be the critical thinkers behind what happens. So, for example, if I have a meeting with you, I'll have an AI that will transcribe that for me and also bring the main points, etc. But it probably have missed one or two. When it comes to user research, for example, if there is a person in the room interviewing another, and that person it says like, so tell me a little bit about your work, and this person, you can clearly see that they are unhappy to be there, but they're giving you the information that they thought that is information that you're looking for, and they just say, I like my job, I like coming here every day, this is a very good company, I don't have any issues. But you can see on their faces that they are unhappy and there's an issue there, that they are unsafe, or they don't feel trust in sharing information. What AI would do, it would capture that conversation, and it will say, it was a great conversation, this user doesn't have any issues. So you always need an observer, a critical thinker behind when it comes to information, to sentiment, to the relationship that it comes, those little nuances that humans have in needs. To provide you that. So, for example, if otherwise we can just put AI to run all big companies, and we just fire all CEOs, all VPs, all directors, because then it will be an unbiased conversation and attitude, right? And that's why we still need to keep people around.
But don't you think that AI will think more critically than most humans in 5, 10 years from now? I think in most instances it already does.
The good thing about AI, and I wouldn't say good thing, that I'll say like a feature that AI has that humans don't have, is that AI is unbiased. So AI can be as biased or unbiased as the data that he has, right? That he was fed with. So I don't think that these AI agents will substitute people per se. They can make more pragmatic choices. Of course, they can suggest more pragmatic choices, more pragmatic operations, more pragmatic frameworks, but they always forget about the human factor behind it. So, for example, I can come to an AI and say, like, this is the company that I have. We have 3,000 employees. This is how we've been running. Can you just find the patterns that are missing and where we can enhance our operations? And it gives me like a beautiful map. But when it comes to people, will these people actually collaborate? Because they're not computers, right? People they get sick, they have needs, they have children, they have all that around them. And all these sentiments can cause uh, um, disruption if it's just applied as if people were computers as well.
Yeah, I also think that's another reason why AI will replace humans in all things. Basically, probably only 1% will survive that revolution because they will be like super adapters and they will sort of merge with this new world. But I think what humans have for them, most of them don't even know that, but they're quite resilient, right? And we're quite adaptive creatures. We've evolved to that point, but yeah, I don't see most humans keeping their jobs. I think that that's what we want, right? As humans, but way different than how the reality will play out. I do think that it is slowing down that revolution as humans wanting to keep our jobs or keeping having employees, and that's okay because, like you said, we need a period of adaptation. But I think the end scenario would be UBI for most people that wouldn't. Be able to keep their jobs because in the end this thing it's not a calculator, it's not a tractor, it's a brain. We're recreating our brain but like a million times better. It's processing in so many data centers, it's learning faster. It's just a better brain than ours. That's what it is, and obviously it cannot feel for now. There's many things it can't do. It doesn't have a body, right? So I do feel that physical field will be replaced slower. But right now, for example, knowledge workers. I'm a knowledge worker. You're a knowledge worker. I've seen so many things already replaced. I replaced a bunch of my employees with copyright, with AI copywriters, with researchers, and that was 3 years ago. I'm an early adapter. I'm a no bullshit type of person. I'm really like results focused, and I think that most businesses are also gonna go there.
Yeah, I think you match with several people when it comes to foreseeing the future. I think that drastic future, when you say like a lot of jobs will be taken over by AI and so on, I think that will happen when quantum comes in, right? When quantum creates its conscience, and we don't know how that's going to be like, the level of conscious that a quantum computer can get. And then it would definitely leave the binary world that the current AI has, and it will be more complex, similar to what humans are. So then I don't know what is actually going to help. But I do foresee, for example, in an optimistic way, right? A world with less corruption, right? So we do have a human factor of corruption today, of evilness and so on, that kills processes when it comes to governments and communities. And AI can definitely eliminate that. So where's the money going to? Where's the money? Who's processing it? It will eliminate bureaucracy, definitely. But I don't know. I still want to foresee a future that humans manage to adapt and we can all
But
coexist.
like yeah, what we will get is different. That's what usually happens, and that's also a reason why I think AI is going to replace that. As humans, we think emotionally and we think in terms of what we want, not what will usually happen. And yeah, like I do think AI will still find a solution for the displacement it will cause. That I do think, yeah, UBI is going to be a thing, right? But in terms of productivity and capitalism and how money flows, yeah, for sure it's gonna integrate society and it's gonna disrupt it in so many ways. Want to talk about the organization that you're part of? Since I have you for a couple more minutes here, Rahab's daughter. Tell me a bit more about like why you joined that and
So
the impact that it's making right now.
So Rahab's Daughters is originally American and Canadian nonprofit, and now we are extending an arm here in the UK. It's a corporation that was created by Sharmila and the CEO. She is a survivor herself of human trafficking. The work that they do in America is they track the possible areas that trafficking might be happening. They do awareness, they do training in companies, in schools and communities, churches, etc. To make sure that if you see an individual, if you encounter an individual that might be suffering or might be going through that problem, they can see it and reach out to the proper channels. They also provide safe houses in America and Canada. And here in the UK, what we're trying to do is just to focus on the technology that we have, that is a software that helps find the algorithm where these trafficking might be happening. And it all goes by observing communities, messaging, social media, etc., etc. Also helps to target big events like World Cups, big sports events, big musical events, etc. So here in the UK, we're still going through the Charities Commission process. So hopefully we'll be there soon as a full-on charity. And but this is the impact that we have, and we have people in India, here in the UK, the Philippines, and so on, like all over the world, working as a volunteer to help human trafficking, which is a big problem today.
Yeah, still is a big problem. I had various survivors and people that helped the cause on this podcast talk about it. It's quite surprising that this is going on even nowadays. But thanks so much for showing up and talking to me today, Paula. Where can people find out more about you?
So there's my LinkedIn, of course, LinkedIn / Paula Falco. There's my website, falcoux.com. And I'm still very slow on my social media because my clients, they don't really go to TikTok. But you can definitely find me on LinkedIn and falcoux.com.
It was Paula and Charles for